Forgive the criticism, but I think we are settling for too little these days when we talk about knowledge and about knowing things. Ask any student these days about what they have to know, and often they'll just respond with what facts they were forced to memorize for the standardized tests coming up, or what things they have to know for their final grade. Ask teachers about what it's important for people to know, and often it's so easy to get it reduced to memorize these facts so that when we take this snapshot at final exam time, we know you could memorize them and then you'll forget the facts and it makes no difference, no impact in your life. All too often, that's what passes for knowledge and knowing, and I think we're settling for too little, too small an understanding of knowledge. I honestly kind of think that knowing is even more than just keeping facts in your head for a long time after the test. I mean, that would be lovely if the kids who were forced to memorize state capitals remember them for more than just the week after the test, but even that's too small. If we ask the biblical writers, people in the ancient mindset didn't think of knowledge as just facts in your head, but about something participative, something you were joined into. To know something is to be a part of it as well in some way, so that there's no just sort of separate head knowledge that doesn't take in or affect your whole person. Let me offer an illustration beyond states and capitals and things you had to memorize for your 4th grade spelling test or something like that. Let's have a musical example. If I say to you, I'm thinking of a song that's written in the time signature 5/4. Well, there's some people who just, I don't even understand what that means, and they're lost right off the bat. If you know a little bit of music information, you might go, oh, okay, a song that's written in 5/4, that's a little bit weird. That's not very common as a time signature, but it means that every measure has 5 beats to it. And you could probably count to 5 and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I abstractly, intellectually understand you're describing to me a piece of music that has an unusual number of beats in every measure. Thank you for telling me that fact. But that's not really experiencing that kind of music. If I played that for you, and this is the kind of riff that you might recognize from that classic, that famous jazz piano piece by a Dave Brubeck trio called Take 5, which is in 5 beats per measure, all of a sudden there's a different feel between just hearing there are 5 beats in a measure and then actually experiencing draws you in. There's something when you not just hear it, but it sort of pulls on you, like you want to start tapping your toes, like you want to start moving to the music. It sort of draws you in. It's more than just, I happen to know the random fact that that piece of music has 5 beats per measure to it. It pulls you in, and when you hear, it almost makes you want to add in, if you know the saxophone line, the melody line, when you hear that melody and you hear that rhythm, it pulls you in. You're knowing in a whole different way. It's participative. It draws you in so that you want to be a part of it. Kind of like when you hear a song playing in the background, like at a restaurant or a cafe or just out somewhere, and you hear a song playing on the radio or through somebody's loudspeakers or even in the car, and you start singing along. It's not just your way of telling people around you, I am aware of the existence of this song, but knowing the song, if it's one you like, at least draws you in. You want to sing along. You find yourself, clapping along or tapping your foot. You find yourself singing along with the lead singer or tapping along as you drive. That's a deeper kind of knowing. It doesn't just stay in your head, but animates your hands and your feet and your mouth. It's something you participate in. And I want to suggest when we respectable religious people, when we church folk talk about knowing God, it always has to be that fuller, deeper sense of tapping your feet when you hear the melody, rather than just knowing the intellectual abstract fact. There are 5 beats in every measure of that tune. It's something we are pulled into and makes us richer. The same way, looking at a piece of sheet music doesn't do anything for your soul, but playing the music, hearing music, singing along with it, it somehow makes you feel more fully alive. Whether you can carry a tune in a bucket or not, being drawn into the music somehow feels more alive than just staring at notes on a printed page, right? So here's what I want to suggest. With that in mind, it completely transforms what Jesus means when he talks about the kind of life he's come to give us. This coming Sunday, the 7th Sunday of Easter, we are going to hear Jesus in what's sometimes called the high priestly prayer, where Jesus prays on behalf of his followers and the community that will continue after he's not with them in the same way, after the cross and resurrection. And Jesus says this in John's Gospel. These are the opening verses of John chapter 17. After Jesus had spoken these words, he looked up to heaven and said, "Father, the hour has come. Glorify your Son, so that the Son may glorify you, since you have given him authority over all people to give eternal life to all whom you've given him. And this is eternal life, that they may know you, the only true God, and Jesus Christ, whom you have sent." It's interesting. Jesus says that what eternal life is has to do with knowing God. I gotta be honest, for an awful lot of Christian history, especially in the culture and time that we live in, we've gotten it backwards. And we've heard Jesus saying, knowing the correct facts about God equals you will then get later on a thing called eternal life. And we end up hearing eternal life then as just about length in time. Eternal means it lasts forever, as if it's just ongoing forever. Like it's about quantity, it's about a length of time. When that's not really the essence. When Jesus talks about eternal life, it's infinite, you could say, in every direction. It's about quality as well as quantity. It's expansive. It's life that really is life. His other phrase for it in John's Gospel is abundant life. So it's not just a length of time. It's about life that really is life. You come more fully to life. It is infinite in every direction. That kind of life is what Jesus opens us up to. And he's convinced that it has to do with knowing God. And that only makes sense if knowing God isn't just, I intellectually accept the fact that God exists, or I had memorized this list of propositions about God from the creed or the catechism or the hymnal or whatever. It's about participating in God's life, being drawn into knowing God the same way. Reading sheet music is not the same thing as experiencing, as having it sort of get your toes tapping and you moving along so that you want to sing along or play the melody with your right hand. That kind of knowing. So for a lot of time, a lot of people have only heard from respectable religious people that the Christian message is, knowing God leads to eternal life, therefore if you believe the correct facts about God, I know that God exists, then I go to heaven when I die. When Jesus isn't talking like that. I mean, certainly it includes life beyond death, but Jesus has in mind more, he's come that we might know God in the same way that you can know and then be drawn into the music when you hear. And when you're drawn into it, you are more fully alive than you were before. Jesus has come so that in relationship with God, we're drawn into God's own life, to move in the ways God moves, to tap our toes, sure, to move our mouths, sure, but also to live and act in the ways that God acts, with love and with justice and with mercy. It's about drawing us in so that we are more fully alive now. Not just that we have a span of time after death we will get to continue to exist. I'm grateful that there is hope beyond death. But part of what Jesus is promising is offering us life that's more fully alive now. And it's the kind of knowing that's participative, that you are drawn into to be a part of here and now. If all people around us have ever heard is that if you correctly believe these facts about God, then one day you will go to heaven. That's not the fullness of what Jesus has in mind. He's offering us life in the full here and now, and it's life in relationship, life that is to the tune of, to the rhythm of the movement of God and the world. It's like getting caught up in a song and hearing somebody else say, yeah, you sing along too, yeah, you clap, you add the drum beat, yeah, you add the harmony to it, and being more fully alive. That's what Jesus pulls us into. if that's something that you want to be a part of, that's the conversation we're having this Sunday. As we hear these words of Jesus from John 17, as we explore what it means to know God, not just as facts in your head you can memorize for the final exam or standardized state tests, but that you are participating in, and that is as natural and more fully alive and vibrant as when you hear your favorite song on the radio and start singing along with it. Join us for that conversation, that we might more deeply know the God who loves us. See you Sunday.